There's no secret.
There's no shortcut.
There's no shortcut. There's no secret. There's no magic sauce. It's incremental compounding. Every single day, every single week, you're there. You're with them. They know who you are. You build a relationship. Para ka nanliligaw. It's not easy. Of course, when you're a startup, people don't trust that you're gonna be there for the long term. Especially farmers. Farmers have worked with traders for decades. They know the person always there. They hang out there in the farm, waiting for the harvest. So those relationships exist, but they're not necessarily positive relationships all the time for the farmers. But the farmers also are risk averse. They don't want to just get rid of that relationship, even though it's, I wouldn't say abusive, but not in their favor. It's not like just because you're there, you say, "Here, I'll offer you more money." They'll jump ship and start selling to you. It's a bit easier with FMCG products. They believe in the trend of e-commerce. Yeah. Again, this is particularly for the business that we are in, and the stakeholders that we deal with. So it takes time. Sometimes capital can help you leapfrog time and shorten time, but not always. So it's still a lot of hard work, a lot of on the ground, just persistence. To your point earlier, trying to build a sense of community, friendship, kinship with the farmers. That's very important. You have to have a strong liver because they drink a lot. And then from there, you earn their trust. And you slowly strengthen that trust over transactions. Sometimes you get screwed. There's this whole concept of we call it poll voting, where you have an agreement with the farmer to buy the produce at X, like a certain price, but then when the market price goes up, they'll just renege on that arrangement and go to the market. So that's a risk that we face every time we deal with the farmers. And of course, with the farmers, the risk they face is that SariSuki gonna be here in the next harvest. Because if we let go of our current trader, tatampo yan. Baka next harvest, wala na yan dito. Yeah. So, it's a delicate balance, but it's not unsolvable. It's a balance that can be struck. It's a balance that can be achieved. But it takes a lot of hard work. There's no secret.
There's no shortcut.
There's no shortcut. There's no secret. There's no magic sauce. It's incremental compounding. Every single day, every single week, you're there, you're with them, they know who you are, you build a relationship. Para ka nanliligaw. Profitability. That needs to be the goal right now. It's a true north. So, as a startup, in this day and age, it's not that easy to raise funding. So, you need to create a sustainable, profitable business and not rely on funding all the time. So it's a lot of inward looking questions on how can you improve. Yeah. And then of course at the same time make sure that you're delivering a product that customers value. So you continue growing the top line, but then you're managing all your expenses to create a profitable business. So that's the true north. Yeah. But to be able to achieve that, syempre, you need to provide a good service, provide a good product, make sure all your stakeholders are taken care of. It flows. But I guess the degrees of freedom given to a startup today is much smaller than what was given to startups last decade, where money was cheap, where interest rates were low. So you don't have to hit profitability up until some startups have IPO'd and they're still not profitable. But now if you want to sustain and get interest from investors, you need to flip to profitability very quickly. I think it was more challenging on the setup because everyone, again, mobility was limited. People couldn't congregate in an office, so the whole work from home setup had to be accepted very early on. Um,
Zoom was very important.
Zoom was very important. And the ebbs and flows of, is it gonna be lockdown? Is it not gonna be lockdown? So there's a lot of these ebbs and flows that made you always have to be prepared. Of course, before the pandemic, you always want to be in a state of preparedness. But during a pandemic, like starting a business inside a pandemic, within the time frame of a pandemic, those senses need to be heightened. You need to be extra prepared. You always have to. If before you had a plan B, now you have to have a plan C and plan D. So it was a lot more work, and of course there was a worry that, are you just a pandemic business? What happens when mobility gets released, gets opened up, mobility gets opened up again? So there was always that worry behind your head. But fortunately for us, even after the pandemic, the lockdowns ended, we were able to sustain our growth. We were able to sustain our users. So that's when we were really pleased to see that what we built was not just to solve mobility, but it's really just to solve. It's really meant to solve income, lack of income, and also meant to solve access to very basic products that the community should have. Have good partners that you can talk to. That's very important. Have good mentors that you can consult with. That's very important. A lot of it is dealing with your own emotions and finding people you can surround yourself with that would complement what you're strong at. I think at the end of the day, that's what will give a founder the longevity he needs. Remember, that also means that the idea is good enough. It's just everything else, diba? Everything else is table stakes, but the mental state, diba, of a founder is not.
I think personally, it's energy management, right? Energy management as an individual, and then energy management as a team. Like what Brian said, right? Energy management as a team. You make sure that, okay, one person is up, the other person is down. At least you're leveling off, right? So that's why you have a team, right? Make sure that not just from a capability standpoint you complement each other, but also from an ebbs and flow of energy, you complement each other. Brian is always high energy. No, just kidding. No. Make sure that both of you are never, or all of you are never at the downs. I think that's what's important. So you have to manage your energy. Is one, as an individual and as a team. That's one. And second is, I think it's also communication, right? I think that's one thing that's very important. Okay, this needs to be done, that needs to be done, XYZ did not happen. Okay, let's do it quickly. Because you can burn out, because it is tiring, it is turbulent, right? There's like 10,000 things you need to do. More or less, we know how to get there, right? But on executing that particular thing, we have to manage our energy and our team's energy so that we're running at a good pace, a fast pace, but not a crazy pace that everyone just die down, right?
Yeah.